Hey guys, welcome to
Hello.
another one podcast. I'm Alvin and this is
Peter.
So in today's podcast we're basically just about to we're going to ask Peter of his traveling journeys which he has previously visited Indonesia, and we just want to know what was his interesting facts and values that he has ventured. So Peter,
Yes.
with this, you know, we've always wanted to started this journey of making, you know, a podcast, and here we are. Can you tell us, like in Indonesia, because we've known each other for, I don't know, 14 years?
Yes, about that.
Yeah. So like Indonesia itself, like what took your interest to go and visit Indonesia?
Okay. So my last trip that I did was my third time I visited Indonesia.
Okay.
And to answer your question is, I've always been attracted to different cultures and different languages, but Indonesian in particular because I was privileged and lucky to learn Indonesian. I'm still learning, obviously. I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I'm confident and happy that I'm at the level and I'm satisfied. And so I wanted to go and increase or deepen my knowledge of the language, as well as experience the language, so interact with locals. That was the main reason. The second reason is that I have close friends from Indonesia, very close friends who have strong stand in my life. And I was lucky that I got invited by these friends around the same time. So it was Christmas time. I went over Christmas and New Year, and they invited me to visit them. They wanted to spend time with me, show me around, which obviously deepened my experience. So I got the ticket and off I went.
Okay. And like these friends of yours, I'm guessing you've known them a lot more than you've known me, kind of thing, before we met, yeah?
One of them, yes. Actually, is a good friend of mine I met when I came to Australia. We studied together. And he invited me prior to Sulawesi, and we
nice.
traveled around Sulawesi, and we experienced some very interesting things, which I can talk about later on other podcasts.
Yep.
But this time he reconnected with me again and invited me. So I know this guy before I knew you, and the other friend I met, my friend after I met you. So.
Okay, cool. And what and out of your traveling that you've done over the last 3 times, as you mentioned, what's your actual purpose? I know we only just touched base on it, but can you just kind of like outline what's your actual purpose of traveling to Indonesia?
Purpose was to visit my friends, practice the language, deepen the knowledge, because there's many new words I learned in the process of traveling.
Yeah.
And visiting new places, experiencing that culture, experiencing the food, meeting new people, being physically present in some areas that normal person such as myself wouldn't be able to access if you just go by yourself.
Oh, okay.
Which I talk about later.
That's really interesting. I didn't know about that.
And then obviously I visited places like Bali, and again, I was the second time, and we can talk about it a little bit as well, because there's a big contrast between certain places I visited, for example, on the island of Java or island of Lombok versus Bali.
Okay.
So I was hungry for...
Does it have anything to do with faith? Why there's restrictions there?
I would say it's the culture, combination with faith, combination with geographical location, and combination of general consensus among those who travel to Indonesia.
Right.
Because Bali is well known, it's like a magnet versus Java, or if you say West Java or Lombok even.
Oh, right.
Lombok is a paradise which is not well known.
Really?
Gili Islands, I went to Gili Islands as well.
There you go.
So yeah, these are the things we're going to talk about. Yeah.
Did you guys know that I'm Indonesian born, right? But I haven't even touched my feet, both of my feet stood on Bali nor Jakarta, which is the capital city of Indonesia. But this guy, whom I've known about 14 years, has you know, stepped and stood in my birthplace.
Yeah, and Jakarta was 3 times.
There you go.
3 times, yeah.
I've gone to his, you know, side of the world, but I've never
Yeah.
touched, you know, base in Indonesia,
Yeah.
which is really interesting.
But that's actually normal,
know,
because many Indonesians haven't traveled much around Indonesia, and there's
Yeah.
2 reasons behind it. Because I inquired about this, and they said, well,
Okay.
first of all, Indonesia is the largest
Archipelago is
archipelago in the
yeah,
world,
yeah.
and it has
like-
from top of my about 16,000
I think it was
islands.
2,000 plus. I was
Or
last.
possibly, yeah. I'm not sure on the number, but there's obviously many little islands, and
Mm.
which are not, they're called Gilis, not the ones that I visited, but they're inhabited. There's no one living there. But then you have islands, obviously, which have people there. And so it's very difficult for many Indonesians to travel from one island to another, especially if it's remote. Plus, the economic situation doesn't always allow for air ticket to be purchased.
Yeah, true.
And there is no motivation, really.
Yeah.
So it's more from an outsider like myself who wants to know and discover.
So to travel like to little places or to little island or archipelagos in Indonesia, you would have to actually go by, is it tuk-tuk? No, not tuk-tuk,
No,
like little
tuk-tuk,
sampan. Sampan is like a little boat.
That depends how far is the island, but
Oh, okay.
obviously if it's, for example, traveling from Sumatra to Flores, or it's traveling from Sumatra to Sulawesi, or from Sumatra to West Papua, you have to take a flight.
Right,
It's going to
okay.
cost you some money.
Because I know in my island, especially in Tanjung Pinang, which is near Batam and Singapore, there's a ferry ride that's
Yeah, it's in proximity of Singapore
yeah.
and Sulawesi, Sumatra.
Sumatra, yeah.
It takes maybe a few hours, maybe an hour, maybe
Yeah,
half an hour.
yeah.
But the ones that I outlined earlier, they are long distances. There,
Right.
you probably sit on a plane for 2-3 hours to
Wow,
reach.
okay. Right, so it's
If
like,
you stretch Indonesia, not even stretch. If you look at the scale of the longitude of Indonesia and you put it right above Australia, you realize that it's actually wider than from Sydney to Perth.
wow.
And
That's really interesting.
Yeah, so from
fact.
Sumatra to all the way to West Papua, you will fly longer than from Sydney to Perth.
Wow.
And so many people won't be able to, and there's distances in between.
Mm.
So that's a concept to have in mind as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So out of the places you've visited, what was your most profound visit?
Okay, so there's definitely a place that left a profound impact on me.
Like a nostalgia kind of moment that you would it kind of like wants to bring you back.
Yeah, so okay, I will briefly outline my trip. So I came to Jakarta, met with my friend. We spent some time in Jakarta. Then we traveled together through West Java to Bandung.
How did you travel the cross
We
country?
traveled by car, although I was contemplating traveling by fast train. It's called the Wush Kereta.
Whoosh,
It's a new, yeah, it's a fast train. It's yeah, just out of curiosity, it's the fastest rail line in Southeast Asia. It is comparable to Chinese fast trains, bullet train, and it has been built by Chinese. And it's a beautiful. It goes from Jakarta all the way to Bandung. And when you're driving on a highway, you will see on the left-hand side or right-hand side, depends which way you're going. If you're going to Bandung, on the right-hand side, you see all these tall pillars that reach up to the, I would say, 7th or 8th story building. It's really, really high, and it's elevated all the way from Jakarta to Bandung, just for the fast train. And then you see this, because I was really willing to catch the train. I love trains, but we decided with my friend it's better if we drive, because we will have a car at our disposition in Bandung and the surrounds. Otherwise, you'll have to hire a supir, which is driver.
Yeah.
So we decided to go by car, but the train is like driving on a highway, and you see this train like. It takes on a highway, because we went through toll gate, which is a fast way of traveling between Jakarta and Bandung and other areas in Java. Took about 2 hours. Fast train takes 48 minutes. That's how fast it goes. But that's okay. To answer the question, we went by car. So then from Jakarta, we went to Bandung. We stayed in Bandung for a few days. We traveled around Bandung. It's a beautiful area with rice fields, mountains, beautiful climate, because it's in the middle of, more or less middle of Java. It's nice and cool. No more humidity, no more hot. Just a beautiful climate. Just a bit busy, but the climate was really good. We went to.
I've heard it's quite refreshing. The
It's
climate.
refreshing. Yeah.
Bandung and
Yes,
that
we
area.
went to Kawah. In English, it's crater.
Oh.
Kawah Putih, Kampung Perahu. These are the famous, well-known craters in Bandung.
I don't even know that myself.
Yeah, so I've been there. We have had a bit of a fun interactions while accessing one. So that was our trip, and I met my third friend in Bandung who lives there. He's an expat from a different part of the world. And then from Bandung, I went to central North Java, a region called Makjalenka.
What?
And a small town called Indramayu. It's a small village.
Indramayu.
It's a small town. It's near Kertajati, which is...
You're naming all these names that I don't even like.
That's okay. We'll go and open a map when we finish this podcast, and I'll update Alvon on all the locations.
Indonesian. White man updating in Indonesian.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
We've been learning. Life is a learning journey, so we never stop learning.
And it's about coexisting.
Exactly. So, and then I was interested. So I went there. That was probably my most personally interesting place to visit, which I explained why. And it's also a fact that, and then from that Indramayu, I flew over to Bali with my friend and friends. There's a group of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we stay in Bali. Then from Bali, we flew to Lombok. Then we traveled a little bit around Lombok, through Lombok. Then from Lombok, we took a fast boat, to Gili. Spent the New Year's Eve in Gili, 3 days.
Okay.
And then came back to Lombok. From Lombok back to Bali. We just transferred in Bali and then back to Indramayu. And from Indramayu, we went to Jakarta. So just to summarize, it was a very intense but very fulfilling trip. In about 15 days, I boarded an aircraft 6 times.
6 times?
6 times, and changed accommodation about 7 times. So some people will probably roll up their eyes and say, oh my gosh, no. But for me, I'm very grateful, I'm very happy. So I have a lot to talk about. It was a good experience.
I mean, so long as you enjoy the experience and you know, being you love your traveling, you love committing to different cultures and knowing them. Like we'll just touch a quick base on this. How many languages do you speak?
So my native...
7?
No, my native, Slovakian, English, French, Spanish, and Indonesian. I was learning Latin, but that I forgot because I have no one to practice with. But this is obviously related to my interest in travel and connecting with people from different cultures and experiencing these cultures, because you experience them through language.
Yes, that's right.
But coming back to the question, so my most so now that summarized my trip, the area that left the most impact on me was actually Indramayu, very small town that has traditions in it that I feel are still very valid and present compared to Jakarta, for example, or even Bali to a certain extent.
Jakarta is just a busy lifestyle.
Very
Everyone's
busy,
running. It's like Sydney.
Sydney times 4.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Very busy.
Yeah.
But this one it's a very, how should I say it? I was lucky enough that a very close friend of mine invited me to the family and spend time there for a few days. And I was able to connect with her family and with her siblings and community. And I experienced the typical life of a Javanese person who was born in Java and been living there without necessarily having I'm trying to find the words, contact with modern civilization.
Oh wow.
So we did have...
So is it more of a village type thing? Like
it's a small village. There's rice. Kampung, exactly. Kampung. That's the word they were using, kampung. We were surrounded by rice fields, and there were mangoes and mango trees and
Wow.
banana trees and chilies.
All
and
the putties,
all the
which
putties, yeah,
is-
and you could just take it easily and freely.
Oh,
You had
wow.
chickens running around.
You can just take them free as well, and you just chop them up
I
and
had
eat them.
yeah, interesting
the
because
spot.
I had the family was very welcoming and sharing, and they actually killed a rooster for my welcome, and we cooked the rooster, but we cooked it on an open fire because that's how they cook. Mostly, they don't really use stove, although they have it.
Yeah.
It's more like food is prepared fresh on fire.
Yeah.
And also I was able to see traditional way of making rice in Java.
Oh,
So they had
interesting.
this stove, they had chilies cooked in the rice,
Okay.
wrapped in banana leaf.
Oh,
And the rice was going through a bit of a smoke.
Oh,
so it will
so
give
you
that
get the
smoky,
fragrance,
the
yeah.
fragrant smoky
Yeah.
flavor of the coal, and then they would tip the rice in a big ball and sort of wave
oh, the kipas.
to keep us so it's not so it becomes sticky and it has this texture.
Oh my
and then they
goodness.
put fresh fish wrapped in banana leaf on the fire. So I documented this. We can share it.
Wow, we're gonna touch
audience,
base on
yeah.
food traveling in Indonesia as well, guys. So yeah, touch base.
And also the stories of the people in the kampung were very touching and very
They're just-
powerful.
What is it called? I'm guessing in my word that I'm currently having in my mind here. I guess they're very committed to someone coming to their kampung that doesn't look like them, that doesn't represent them. So therefore they want to give it all. Like, because I remember when growing up, like knowing my stepfather was a white man, not English but Luxembourg European, reverted to Islam, and I'm guessing it's the same way that these people in the village that Peter has experienced as well.
Yes.
Is that right?
So yes and no, but what I detected is, first of all, my information that I got from my friend is that, for example, in the family of my friend, she was 12 siblings. Out of 12 siblings, 6 have passed away.
Oh, I know.
That's a typical, and it's not just confined to her family.
What are they like? If I just may know,
The question.
are they Christian or what?
No, they're Muslim. That's
they're Muslim, right?
because not Java. Any Java actually, there's a predominant religion is Islam.
Okay.
They're Muslim. They're very religious as well. They had little room in the house with carpet where they prayed 5 times a
Wow.
day, and I witnessed that as well. But I come back to this. But
This is awesome. We're
so
going to touch base on this as well, by the way.
we will.
Yeah.
And so, family of 12.
Wow.
And 6 siblings have passed away, usually very young,
Yeah.
because children and people are more perhaps used to help around the house, help around the fields. It's a common,
Yeah.
it's a very traditional way of being. This is how
Yeah.
every culture used to function, even in Europe and so on,
Yeah. It's true.
which is a very interesting. And also because the kampung is quite isolated and there's
far
no-
away from
far
like,
away from
hospital.
everywhere. The closest city was Bandung, and I was about an hour and 45 minutes drive
Wow.
on a highway, not on a small road.
That's crazy. So they don't have like a small clinic or
They have a small doctor, but a clinic, if
Yeah.
you put it, but you have to have money in order to be
oh wow.
seen by the doctor.
Mm.
So it's a little bit, I was going to say, it's a little bit behind in development. So people don't have access to many opportunities as well as financial resources.
It's crazy because we'll touch base on it as well. You know, Indonesia itself is quite a rich country.
It is a very rich country
But
in the natural
unfortunately,
resources,
yeah.
but there's a disparity of wealth also
Yeah.
because there's many people. You
Yeah.
can't feed all the amount equally. But going back to your
Yeah.
doctor, so for example, I've heard that many of the siblings, and not just siblings or the family members, but others in the community, were born with the help of a local shaman.
Wow.
Not a doctor, but a shaman.
Yeah.
because
I
people
totally agree.
cannot afford to go to the doctor, so they engage a local shaman in exchange
Or
for goods
imam
and services.
as well.
Iman as well. Yeah, the word was shaman, but maybe it's a iman. I don't know, iman is a priest in a mosque in the Muslim world, and perhaps they are the same person. I even met when I was drinking coconut water with them in front of their house. They gave me coconuts and some fruits I've never heard of, and I started eating because I was drinking coconut water, and then I was eating a little bit of the pulp. And one person who was related to shamans, the family, because it's a community of shamans, and they run their bloodline. They have told me don't eat pulp. He was speaking in Bahasa. I was talking to them in Indonesian because it's a bad luck.
What was that word? Can you just reference it right now? What he said to you in Bahasa?
Jangan makan. I don't know how he meant pulp, but I knew he was gonna say kelasan, the coconut thing.
Oh, okay.
Sebelum kamu selesai minum air.
Oh.
Before you stop drinking water from the coconut, because it brings bad luck.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And so I finished the water, and then I was eating the coconut.
Okay.
And they are related to this, often related, they're friends. And there was a little girl as well from the family of shamans.
Yeah.
And they told me about her that she can see ghosts.
Interesting.
And she had eyes that were really, I was looking in her eyes, because you can feel when someone has this ability, you can feel that they have something, it's like a well, you know, well, you look into the well and you know that beyond the water in a well, there's a depth. Is that the kind of feeling?
I'm getting goosebumps here, dude. We'll touch base on this as well, guys.
So she could see ghosts, and even the adults told me, like, you know, some occasions she refused to stay in a house, or she wasn't happy, or she said, oh, there's someone here who is annoying me. And she was referring to a woman who...
I feel like I can relate to this because it's a common thing in Indonesia.
Common thing. And I was really,
especially when you brought up in that village lifestyle.
Yes, and and it wasn't interesting because she was very shy, but then she and other girls and boys came to me, and she was very, so were the other little children, inquisitive, and she was smiling at me and she was approving me, which gave me this beautiful feeling of, okay, there's an energy from me that is welcoming.
Yeah.
Because especially if she, coming from bloodlines of shamans, can feel this, it gives you that kind of...
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So these bloodlines of shamans, they're you know, I'm going to touch base on it, but are they Muslim as well?
They're Muslim, yeah.
That's interesting.
They practice Islam, but they have
different values or
values. They have skills and natural innate talents, like a certain degree of
healing
intuition,
people,
mediums. They can communicate with the world beyond.
Yeah, medium. Yeah,
medium. Some of them have abilities to astral travel, for example. These type of things. They have an understanding of herbal medicine.
Okay.
They can use different herbs in order to prepare products that can treat certain type of illnesses.
There you go.
This is shamans.
Like, I feel like the medication of today's world, we're going to touch base on this topic as well later. I feel like today's world with medication, you know, with all these tablets that you're consuming, it's actually not, like, it's not, what is it called?
It's based on chemistry.
It's a lot of chemical, right?
Some of it is useful, of course, but some of it is debatable.
Yeah,
it's all about profit.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
But
when you go back to the organic way of you know, being treated, I feel like it's more natural.
Yes.
And you don't feel that you're consuming these chemical things, materials into your body. Because I know it does affect, has some sort of effect to the body.
That's right, yeah.
Over time. But anyway, look, this all interesting values and facts.
And the other thing as well I realized is because Indramayu is close to the north coast of Java, so the weather is slightly different to what it is in Bandung. It's very hot and very humid, and it permeates your skin, and at around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, it's already, you want to be in the shade, you want to lie down on the ground.
So it takes more energy.
Yeah, it's energy, and because it's what I described earlier, is not as developed from a perspective of infrastructure than perhaps Jakarta or Bandung or other parts of Indonesia. electricity supply was cut very often.
Whoa.
During thunderstorms, usually thunderstorms happen at night, especially in areas in Java, which is close to the equator.
Wow.
The sun goes down around 6:30, 7, and then you have, if it's wet season, musim hujan,
Musim hujan, yeah.
then the thunderstorms happen suddenly, and they usually happen at night. So they shut the electricity, or during the day. Sometimes electricity goes out. And what happens is, I had fans in my room. It was nice, kind of, even still hot, but nice. And then the electricity goes off.
Yeah.
Not only you don't have fans suddenly, but you don't have light.
Yeah.
You don't have anything. You don't have you only rely solely on batteries, even open fire, like lamps.
Or candle, even.
Candle.
Yeah.
And you sit there on a bed, or lie on a bed with a very nasty heat for me, because I'm not a heat person. I like cooler environments. And then you realize a couple of things. You realize, first of all, how precious the electricity is.
Yeah.
You literally counting after half an hour, you're like, okay, I can go with this, that's fine. Then after half an hour, it's another half an hour elapses. You now have 1 hour without electricity. You're sweating. You don't know how you're gonna sleep. Then you start counting minutes. Okay, when are they gonna turn it back on?
I guess it puts you in that perspective mindset of realizing
how precious things are we take for granted in our life. And you have to have that gratitude. And that's where, in this area, you realize how important it is to be grateful for things we have here, and we take them for granted. Also, you realize how simple and difficult life these people have at the same time, but they were so welcoming, so loving. I could feel the energy that it was genuine energy. Simple in their education, perhaps, and some of these people could not understand Bahasa.
So
they could only speak Japanese, because Bahasa is lingua franca.
Yeah.
But because they were so isolated, they could only speak Japanese. And that gives you that sense of isolation. Some of them I've heard from had difficulties reading.
So they're quite unliterate.
Yes, but, and here comes that realization, is that they were actually very loving and genuine. They didn't have that elaborate Machiavellist code that you see in the West.
I love that.
Many people are educated. We say, yeah, of course, educated.
They're just so
arrogant, calculative,
up
themselves, me, myself, and I, fake, toxic. Whereas in there, I was completely stripped of these feelings that I'm getting from people in the West. Perhaps not all. I'm not saying all, but you gotta interact with some. It was so genuine, so loving, so simple. People are grateful for little things. We had 2 girls who were from the community, from the family, and they went with us to the shop. And we were buying some groceries and stuff, and they wanted some chocolate egg, some chocolates.
Yeah.
And they were a little bit shy to ask, and one of them brought like a big chocolate egg, and the other one said to her, no, that's too expensive. Don't ask for that.
Yeah.
Because they normally don't get anything from the shop.
Wow.
They only get whatever they get from the fields, because money is very scarce in that community.
Yeah, exactly.
And they said, well, you can get whatever just choose whatever you want. They were so humble. They didn't want to choose anything expensive because they feel bad that it's expensive.
Wow.
In the currency comparison, expensive, quote unquote, was about $1.50 in calculations. But in their money, because they probably average salary is $100 a month, was expensive. So they bought little milk in packet. We gave them, we bought them. I mean, obviously bought for them, and they were so happy, grateful. It gives you the kind of realization how things are different for just on the same planet, but how things are very different.
That's amazing.
So I felt this humble, grateful energy and loving. So that was beautiful experience. And that was, and then I realized other thing as well. Sorry, so this was that one, that welcoming and sharing. They're very generous. They have very little, but they give you everything they can. They look after you. They smile at you in the morning every time they see you, and it's a genuine smile. It's not that fake smile. Hi, how are you doing?
It's
"Yeah,
not
I'm
that
good."
two-faced that you
Yeah,
see in
yeah.
the Western culture.
Yeah, like you often come to workplace and you have people you're competing with very consciously, unconsciously, and they kind of, "Hello, how was your weekend? Oh, really good." It's not. That's like a stabbing smile. You see through it straight away. If you're a bit of
Peter
intuition.
and I are going to talk a
But
lot about this kind
this
of
was
lifestyle,
really
by the way, guys.
genuine. And the last thing I realized is because it's a Muslim community, and as you know, the mosque will play prayers 5 times a day to call people for prayer. And every morning around 4:30 they started for broadcasting the prayers.
Yeah.
And first I was like,
The adhan.
Yeah, the adhan, the surahs or whatever you call it. And it would woke me up. I love my sleep, and I was like, oh, this is why people like they don't have sleep. And then I realized that it has a purpose from the current environment they live in. Because people wake up at 4:30 in the morning. First thing they should do is have this gratitude, which is expressed in the prayer to God. Then get ready for work. Because 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning in Java, especially northern Java, is a beautiful temperature. It's still cool, it's still a little bit dark, but you can see in the horizon the sun is rising slowly, so it's not too dark. You can go out to the field, you can do whatever you need to do that early in the morning. Comfortable environment, comfortable temperature, get it out of the way, and when the heavy sun kicks in around 10:30, 11 o'clock, you can have your siesta. So it had a purpose to motivate people, to wake them up, to get them going with starting the day with gratitude, with prayer, which is very important because people in the West have no that concept whatsoever.
Well, it's they know what it is, but it's a long forgotten way of life.
Yes. Now, one way of, for example, this is not for this podcast, this is for another one, but one way of getting your day going in a good positive mindset is to wake up. Don't look at your phone, don't touch it, because that's the addiction people have. They reach out as soon as they wake up, first thing they do, they check the phone.
That's
News,
very true, guys.
whatever social media likes they have, all that, it's a nonsense. Start the day with gratitude. Think of 3 things that you're grateful for, that you already have. And that's and if you're religious, if you believe, have a prayer. Not many people do that. But anyways, this is for another podcast.
Yes, definitely.
But in there, is as simple as the society, maybe or the community, they understood this concept.
So how do you feel like that concept with your embodiments or with your belief or with your personal well-being?
It's a concept that fits well.
Yeah.
I agree with it. The only problem, like I said, is because I love my sleep. I go to bed at 12 o'clock or between 12 and 11, and I wake up at 7 without any disruptions, which I'm incredibly grateful for. So I need to have my sleep. But I definitely agree, waking up early, for me, 7 o'clock, and then start working on yourself rather than looking at the phone, watch TV. No. Go and have a workout, go for a swim, have a whatever the case might be, read a book.
So you were there for
prayer.
going back to that. You were there for I think almost 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
So you would hear the adhan for 2 weeks.
Not all the time. So in Jakarta, I didn't hear it.
Oh, really?
Because it's a big city, the mosques are sparse.
Yes.
It's dispersed. They're not in a smaller area. They're not dense.
It's not communitized. Yeah.
Exactly. The Bandung same. In Dramayu, I've been hearing it, except for one day, which I can say lucky because they turned off the electricity. And so the loudspeaker didn't work. So that was one time I was very happy the electricity was turned off, so I could actually sleep properly. Because then the temperature adjusted itself in early mornings, so it wasn't that hot. And I also heard it on Gili, because Gili is Muslim and it's a very small island.
Oh, okay.
And so you couldn't escape that
environment.
And they have upgraded the loudspeakers in Gili Mosque, so everybody can hear it. So many tourists, I have a look on these review sites for tourism. That many tourists complain that if you count on sleeping, don't go to Gili.
Yeah.
So
that's you're paying your consequences right there.
Yeah.
So would you? So the next question is, would you go back and why, and where would you go back?
Yes, I'm definitely interested going back now. I actually been invited by another set of friends I have from my community, from other community.
Oh, then I've invited you to come to my island as
That's
well, which is
that's a
Tanjung
fifth
Pinang.
invitation. So I started with this. So for this year now, in 2025, I was invited to go to Flores,
Oh, okay, yep.
which is part of East Nusa Tenggara.
Nusa Tenggara.
It's a little bit less known area of Indonesia, a little bit less explored, but this is why I'm more interested to go there, because I like to explore areas that are not well known. And it is in a city of Maumere.
I don't know.
And there's a beautiful Gunung Api, which is the volcano.
Gunung Api is volcano.
So
yes.
there's a community, it's a spiritual religious community that invited me there. They're predominantly Christians.
Yep.
And we wanted to go and explore the area, show me a little island they have for retreats and meditation, go up to the mountain and have a little prayer or perhaps even a mass, and then visit a mysterious or mystic place in Flores, which is a crater lake that changes its color. And it is believed by generations and generations of locals that it has mystic properties. It is a gateway to different dimensions, or it attracts gods, whatever. This is according to their beliefs, but it does have mystic properties, and people have done some readings in terms of energy, and it does fluctuate. So I'll look into it a little bit in details when I visit, and we can always
like the frequency. I'm guessing
we'll have a podcast.
About, yeah.
So that's on my list. Then you invited me to Sumatra and Bintang.
Kepulauan Riau.
Yeah.
Bintang,
So coming back, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So I guess we'll conclude there for today of our topic on of Peter's travel so far, and we'll touch base with you guys soon. But before we go, please follow, share, like, comment. We'll be putting up a YouTube channel where we can put all of our contents as well as full videos of our discussions of different topics that we will be touching base on as well, and talking about, and as well as Peter's journey of I guess your travels,
because I have some travels that I've completed, and we will have podcasts about those. And I'm also starting my channel on Instagram, Stories Beyond Frontiers.
So follow him, guys. It's called
Stories Beyond Frontiers. I think I'll be tagged in the video description in this podcast. It is in a very early stage, so I'll be updating it as we go, because I have material.
You have lots of materials.
I accumulated through my travel, so I'll be updating it regularly.
Yeah.
And it will also be updated with the podcast and little snippets that we cut out from the podcast. And so if you just be patient, maybe in 2-3 months it will be up and running. It's already there, but it doesn't have much content as yet. But if you can and follow, that'll be great.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. And we'll see you on the next video.
That's right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Sampai jumpa.